Welcome to No Offense, Outrageous Autism. I am your host, Dylan Volk. I am an author, see that, public speaker, social media personality, and last but not least, I am indeed autistic. That's right. I have high-functioning autism, and while you might not be able to tell by listening to me, just wait until you get a taste of my unique ways of viewing the world. I'm a guy who says, why have kids when you can have cats? I'm a guy who wishes I got bullied more in school. I'm a guy who's been arrested for meth. That's right. And I am a guy who, let's find another good one here. I'm a guy who says you're lying if you say you wouldn't do something gay for $1 million. All right, now let's get into it. The first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about this week. So I went with my girlfriend. I used to live in St. George, Utah, and we visited last weekend. Visited some old friends there. And now when I say Utah, everyone thinks Mormons. And a lot of people think Mormons are, they all have multiple wives. No. It's actually the fundamentalist LDS, FLDS. This is a small group of fundamentalist Mormons. They're the only ones with the multiple wives. The rest of Mormons are just normal blonde people. But the old school Mormons is like the small group, right? And they dress like Amish. I don't know if you've seen them before. Maybe we can pull a picture up. But they dress all old fashioned. They have the hair in like these straight out of the 18th century. But they're not Amish though. They love technology. Isn't that weird? They're infamous for having Bluetooth headsets. I don't know why, but they all have Bluetooth headsets. They drive SUVs. They shop at Best Buy for flat screen TVs. They love technology, but they do dress like from the 1700s. Now, we were going to visit the town where they all live. It's this little border town on the border of Utah and Arizona. By the way, it was St. George, so not like snow, mountains, and skiing. No. St. George is desert. It's palm trees and cactuses. It's basically Vegas, all the way at the bottom of Utah. So anyway, they've got their little like compound or whatever. It's like on the border of Arizona and Utah. And we were walking around there. They have this like little village, and it is sketchy. I highly recommend it if you ever get the chance to go. It's called Colorado City, Arizona, and then Hilldale, Utah is on the other side of the border. They put their town on the border so that they could purposely confuse the cops by running back and forth between the borders so that they couldn't get nailed for like their illegal practices of like multiple wives and stuff. That's why their town is on the border of the state, so they can run back and forth and confuse law enforcement. I shit you not. So we were at this little corner store, this little convenience store, and it's run by this FLDS woman, like in her 60s, got the old school getup and everything. And this is not like no 7-Eleven. Like this was just a neighborhood store that like only they shopped at. So we went right in. And we were kind of trolling them a little bit. We asked if a lot of black people come around this part of town. And her answer made me think. Now, her answer was, yeah, we get all kinds of people. Asians, black people, tourists, white, black, everything. And I was like, oh, okay. But in my mind, I was thinking, why is it that white people always have to claim that there's black people in places that there aren't? You know, why can't white people just say no? No, there's never any black people here. It's just us. It's just us. There's no Asians, no Mexicans. It's just us. I don't know. Maybe it's not their fault. Maybe it's the white guilt. Maybe it's maybe they just need to be told it's okay to be white. But they do have this complex where, like, even in the most absurd scenarios, like, I don't know, what's another good example? You could go to a freaking country club in Connecticut or something, and you can obviously tell there's like no black people around, maybe like once a year. But if you ask anybody, I guarantee in the whitest of places, they'll always tell you, oh yeah, black people here, there's definitely black people here. Like, no, I don't think so. I don't buy it. So moving on, my next topic is, so while we were there, I was letting my friend drive my car, my old friend that we were staying with. And he's like a very alpha male, kind of tough guy. He got pissed off in an incident of road rage. He got so pissed that he turned the car around. Somebody cut him off, and then he like went down the street and he turned the car around. He was like looking for the motherfucker. And this is a point I've made many times. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is Real Dylan Volk, is that people have road rage, right? But I don't have road rage. You know what I have? I have road compassion. Road compassion, because this is the thing. People love to talk about how life is such a blessing, right? They love to say, every day is a blessing. Every day is a blessing. I am just happy to be breathing. I'm so happy to be alive. Every day I wake up and it's like, thank the Lord, every day is a blessing. Okay. Where is that mentality when it comes to driving? Shouldn't it be a blessing that you're driving? You're not in a third world country, starving with flies all over you. Isn't it a blessing to be behind the wheel? My God, are you kidding me? Not only is that a blessing, it's also a privilege, which life is not. Life is, we'll get to that in a sec, but it's a privilege because you could lose your license. You could get in an accident. You could mess up and get drunk driving and lose your life. You could be retarded, lose an arm, go blind. You can't drive. The fact that you're driving, talk about a blessing. And that's how I honestly feel when I am behind the wheel. If anybody does anything to me on the road, I am cool, man. You know why? I am just happy to be driving. Every shift of the gears is a blessing. Every lane change is a blessing. Every start of the ignition, a blessing. But other people, I hear them talking about how life is a blessing. Now, this is something I don't say. I don't consider life a blessing. You know why? Life was not consensual. Life was forced. Like, I never got the option of whether to not to have life. It's the only blessing that's forced. Like, take that blessing. And like, when did I consent to this blessing? And not only that, like, if I wanted hypothetically to commit suicide, would people let me? No, so I don't have that option. So life is not a blessing. Life is kind of rape. It's kind of like life rape, forced. I just don't. But driving, however, I absolutely had the option to get my license or not, and I voluntarily took the test, voluntarily bugged my parents to let me drive when I was 16, voluntarily made sure I kept my license, try every day to not get in an accident, not get a DUI, right? And I could lose that shit. And now, but where is your attitude of every day is a blessing when it comes to on the road? Like, somebody cuts you off. How come you don't have this same attitude that you have about life, which is forced, right? To when someone cuts you off on the road and you're like, oh, fuck, motherfucker. It's like, dude, hey, chill. Every gear shift is a blessing. That's my tangent on road rage. I don't have road rage. I have road compassion. When somebody makes a mistake on the road or does a dick move to me, you know what I think? I've been that person before. That's been me. I remember when I made that mistake. I remember when I almost caused that accident. So that is my road compassion. Now on to another issue with whips. Sometimes people talk about, well, let's take it back here. So when I was 18, I was living in Florida at the time, and I had this friend who is quasi-friend who I was hanging out with. He didn't have a whip, and I asked him what kind of whip he would like, and his mom happened to be in the other room, and I remember she said, oh, he'll settle for anything that gets him from point A to point B. He'll take anything with a wheel and wheels. And I didn't say anything at the time, but I remember thinking, like, that is just so, what a mindset of despair that is. And it's also just so disrespectful, isn't it? It's so disrespectful to the auto industry, to reduce a car to just a set of wheels. I mean, a car is so much more than something that gets you from point A to point B. I just hate this idea. I hate this mentality of that, reducing a whip to nothing but its most pragmatic purpose. A car is, seats, cloth or leather upholstery, door handles, a radio, an air conditioner, a sound system, a hood, lights, a plethora of features and options. A car is a design. A car is something that people sat around a boardroom table in a high-rise office, and they slaved away, and they had meetings, and they had discussions about what would be the best design, and they had drafts, and they had sketches on whiteboards, and they had people saying, "No, I don't like that. Give me another one by noon." And they had so much work, and it also went to a factory, and there's an assembly line, and there's people working, they're slaving away on the assembly line, sweat coming down, and they're slaving all day long. There's machinery, there's robots that make the car. The car goes up, and there's fire, and there's metal and all kinds of shit. And to reduce all that to just something that gets you from point A to point B, it's just so disrespectful, you know? It's disrespectful to the people whose time and energy and thought went into this whip. The person who designed it in the boardroom, the CEO who greenlighted it for the manufacturer who sent it to the dealerships, the people who at the dealerships, the salesmen who refined their sales pitch for that specific car, the people who drove it to the showroom and unloaded it off the dock, you know, and you're going to reduce all of that to anything that's got wheels is good enough for me. It's just, I just hate this mentality. It would be like, would you think it was cool if you asked me, like, what kind of girls do I like? And I was like, anyone with a hole between her legs. That's all I want. Like, no, people would be like, oh, that's pretty rude, right? Or what if you asked a girl what kind of man she likes, and she was like, any man with a wallet in his pocket, that's good enough for me. She's like, any man with 9 inches or more between the legs will work for me. Like, no, you would think that was gross. So, like, why would you say it about cars? You know, just like, stop. If somebody asks, and even if you are poor and can't afford anything beyond something that gets you for quote unquote point A to point B, dream a little bit. Have a little imagination. Don't at least keep it to yourself. Like, don't share that shit with people. If you just want a car that will just purely get you from point A to point B, keep that shit to yourself. At least tell me, like, you have some standards. At least act like you got some standard. Like, I want a 4-door. I need a coupe. I want an SUV, something that's, you know, is not too gay, or maybe you want something gay. I want a Prius, you know, just at least act like you have standards. That's all I'm saying. Really distasteful. All right. Switching gears here. Like it, the reference. If you read my book, which is Bad Choices Make Good Stories, My Life with Autism. And by the way, you can get it badchoicesmakegoodstories.com. You'll know that I like cats. I'm a big cat person. And, here's the thing though. I don't like kittens. I like actual cats. Like, when I say cats, I mean cats, not kittens. I've just never been a kitten person. They're just obnoxious. I don't really like baby anything. When I see a kitten, it looks to me like I'm looking at like a screensaver. You know, like a desktop background. It's like too kitschy, I guess. It's just too cliche. I'm not into it. I like adult cats, you know, especially like old cats, you know, elderly cats with a very, very mature cat face, you know. And now, if you've also read my book, you'll know I'm a big fan of pop music. That's my thing. Like, some people are metalheads. Some people are like, I love hip hop. Like, I live and breathe hip hop. I've been a hip hop fan my whole life. That's how I am with pop. I'm like a pop head. And obviously one of my faves is Madonna, but I don't just like Madonna's old stuff. See, that's not a real Madonna fan. If you like Madonna, you like Madonna, but you only know Like a Virgin. If you only know Holiday, you know, maybe Vogue, you're not a real Madonna fan. And I made the connection the other day. I was thinking, liking adult cats is like liking Madonna's recent stuff. So if you are a real Madonna fan, like, you'll know her recent stuff. Just think about this. There's a big, big difference, right? If you got into somebody's car and they have a Madonna playlist, there's a big difference between someone who's playing Like a Virgin, Material Girl, Vogue, all the old school 80s stuff. And there's a big difference between that and somebody who's playing Confessions on a Dance Floor or Hard Candy, Girl Gone Wild, her Ghost Town, her most recent album. What was it called? Rebel Heart, right? What the fuck is that? That's a real Madonna. Only a real Madonna fan would know what that is. MDNA, ring a bell? No? See, and so it's kind of like someone who likes cats, but doesn't really like kittens. They like adult cats, right? Like that is a real cat person. There's a big difference between someone like, I love cats, and then they're like playing with a kitten. Okay. And there's a big difference between that and someone who like you go over their house and they have like 4 or 5 old cats, right? And they're like, they have maybe paintings on the wall or like furniture, maybe like a lamp or something in the shape of an adult cat, right? No kittens, just old cats. Like that's a real cat person, right? It's kind of like if you went over to somebody's house and you went in their room and they had posters of Madonna, but her recent albums, like Hard Candy, MDNA, her greatest hits from 2009. And she had that song Celebration, not Holiday. No. It was called Celebration. Came out in 2009. That is a real Madonna fan, right? So you see my analogy? So liking adult cats is like liking Madonna's recent stuff. Okay, that is all for today. This has been No Offense, Outrageous Autism. Go buy my book, badchoicesmakegoodstories.com, and subscribe to me on YouTube, Real Dylan Volk. Peace out.